All right, so here's the last session for lesson 18, and this is where we go over a few other strategies for using fractions as division problems. I'm also going to have a short portion of this where I show you how to change a mixed number into an improper fraction. As we've already done improper fractions into mixed numbers, I want to show you the opposite since your IXL today will involve that. So let's do a warm-up first. Solve the problem and write division equation. So Andy, Estee, and May mow 7 lawns and share the work equally. How many lawns does each person mow? What helps me for questions like this is I gather up how many people are involved and I write the number down. So that helps me visualize it a little better. And we have 7 lawns divided among 3 people. And that's 7 divided by 3, which is 7 divided by 3. And instead of saying they did 7/3 of a lawn, which is accurate, we can create a mixed number and divide 7 by 3. And this becomes 2 1/3 lawns. So everyone does 2 1/3 lawns for that. And again, this is where we take that improper fraction and then we create this mixed number. And then I'll show you how to do the opposite, change a mixed number to an improper fraction later on in the lesson. Okay, so turn to page 385. And of course, we'll skip that top example because it's already completed for us. And let's look at number 1. We'll have a few of these to do, but not all. All right, Erica has 7 square feet of space in a rectangular garden to plant carrots, beans, peppers, and lettuce. Suppose she gives each vegetable an equal amount of space. How much space will each vegetable get? And show your work. So I know in the warm up we circled the names of the people to get a number. This one's similar. We've got carrots, beans, peppers, and lettuce. And that's 4 total vegetables. And between the 7 feet that's in the garden, we're dividing it equally among 4 vegetables. And that's 7 divided by 4, which looks like this. And we can change 7/4, the improper fraction, into a mixed number just like this. 4 goes into 7 once. And that means your quotient is your whole number, and your remainder is your numerator, and your divisor is your denominator. And again, I want to point out with improper fractions and mixed numbers, they always have the same exact denominator. So between them, like that never changes. So that's how you know where to put your numbers. Like your divisor always goes on the bottom. Your quotient always is a whole number, and your remainder is the top part, that numerator. So as long as you remember those, you should be good. And as you'll find out, you can just look at your mixed number quickly, and if you can calculate it into the improper fraction again, if it works, you're good. All right, let's look at question 2. Dion needs to make 36 pizza crusts. He has 120 ounces of dough and wants to use the same amount of dough for each crust. He weighs a portion of dough for 1 crust on a scale. The weight in ounces should fall between what 2 whole numbers? Show your work. So a lot's going on here. So let's circle the dough, and he's got to divide that between 36 pizzas. So to 120 divided by 36. As a fraction, that is 120 divided by 36. And there's an improper fraction. Let's create a mixed number. So I've got 36. And again, with your double digit divisors here like this, you've got to try some numbers out. 36 does not go into 1. 36 is not going to 12. So let's try 36. And let's try 3. 6 times 3 is 18. 3 times 3 is 9. Plus the 1 is 108. And we've got to borrow here. 10 minus 8 is 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. And our final answer is your quotient is your whole number. We keep the same denominator, 36, and your remainder is your numerator. So the answer is 3 and 12/36. You could, of course, reduce that to 3 and a third. But the question is, the amount should fall between what two whole numbers? So this is a tricky one where your answer is going to be, it's going to fall between 3 and 4 ounces. So just be careful what they're asking for with some of these questions. But I thought it'd be a good practice because, again, we're doing a 2-digit divisor here. And it looks like we sometimes need a little more exposure and practice to that. Let's look at question 3. Jonas is doing a science experiment with his class. The teacher has 21 fluid ounces of pond water, and he has to share it equally among 10 pairs of students. How much pond water will Jonas and his science partner receive? Well, there's 21 ounces in the class available. They've got to split it between 10 groups. So that is 21 divided by 10. And that is this right over here. So none of these other ones work out. These are in the wrong order. That is a whole number, and this is not an accurate depiction of the mixed number. In fact, let's try it out while we're thinking about it. 10 does not go into 2. 10 goes into 21 twice with the remainder of 1, so that would give us 2 1/10. So that's why this one definitely isn't it. Okay, so let's skip ahead. I want to try number 4. Teddy makes 32 fluid ounces of hot cocoa. He pours equal amounts of cocoa into 5 cups. The amount of hot cocoa in each cup will fall between which two amounts? So again, it's good practice. 32 divided by 5 between the 5 cups equals 32 divided by 5. And let's see what we get when we divide by 5. I know 5 times 6 gives me 30. And remainder 2, so that gives us 6 2/5. And that means that would fall between 6 and 7 ounces. All right, a couple more. I want to do 5 because this is where kids often get in the habit of being like, oh, well, the first number in the word problem is my dividend, and then the second number is my divisor, but that's not the case. So let's read it out loud first. So Pierce swims 10 laps in a pool in 8 minutes. He spends the same amount of time on each lap. And I want you to circle this phrase right here. How much time? So don't do 10 laps divided by 8 minutes. What we asking for here is that time, that 8 minutes divided between the 10 laps. And that means that's 8 divided by 10. And that's why it would be this one right here and not this one. But that was a tricky one as far as that goes. So 8/10 of a minute. All right, the last thing we're going to do, and I want you to cross this out, and we're not actually using this space. We are using this to convert mixed to improper. So again, we're not even doing the problem up here. So I'm just going to scribble the whole thing out. Okay. And I'm going to use the previous example from question 4 to do this. So we are given We knew the answer for 4 was 6 2/5. Now, this is how you change this number into an improper fraction. You're going to take your whole number, which is 6, and multiply it by your denominator, and that'll give you 30. And then you get your 30, and then you add the numerator, which is 2. Let's emphasize that. And that gives you a total of 32. And whatever number you get from doing those 2 steps, you put it over the same denominator. So I've got 32. And what's my denominator? Well, it is the same exact number that you started with. It's going to be a 5. So this 6 2/5 is the same as, I'll put the double arrow here, as 32/5. And you're going to have to do that on your IXL today. So this is a great note to go back to see the steps and remind you how to do it. Speaking of, we can skip 7, 8, and 9. And your homework today is K6, convert between improper fractions and mixed numbers, go to 70%. The math for those is not anything more difficult than what we did in the examples, but it takes a little practice once you get it. It's something that will be very useful in the next upcoming lessons.